Rain poured down in sheets, blurring the city lights into streaks of gold and blue. Emily sat on the cracked sidewalk curb, clutching her purse tightly, her breath visible in the cold. Her phone screen flickered with the Uber app. No drivers available. Her 6-year-old son, Noah, shivered under her worn-out jacket. "Mommy, are we going to be late again?" he asked, his voice soft but full of worry. Emily forced a smile, brushing his damp hair from his forehead. "No, baby. Mommy will find a ride soon." Inside, though, her heart was sinking. It was her first day at her new job, her only chance to start over after losing everything. Rent was due, groceries were running out, and this job was the light she'd prayed for. But now, standing in the freezing rain, that hope was slipping away. Just then, a sleek black Mercedes stopped near the curb. The tinted window rolled down, and a deep voice said, "Are you Emily?" She blinked, startled. Yes, you're my Uber driver, right?" The man inside hesitated for a moment, then smiled faintly. "Sure, get in." Emily didn't think twice. She helped Noah into the warm leather seat and let out a long, tired breath. "Thank you so much, sir. You have no idea how much this means to me." The man glanced at her through the rearview mirror. His face was sharp, calm, but his eyes held a kind warmth. "Rough morning?" he asked. "You could say that," she said with a nervous laugh. "Single mom life, car broke down, late for a new job I can't afford to lose. You probably hear stories like mine every day." He didn't reply right away. Instead, he drove quietly, listening. Rain tapped softly against the windshield. Something in her voice caught his attention. The exhaustion, the strength behind it. "So what kind of job?" he finally asked. "Receptionist position at Hartley Enterprises," she said proudly, unaware of how his hand froze slightly on the steering wheel. "It's my dream company. They help single mothers, veterans, people trying to rebuild. The new CEO sounds amazing, but I've never met him." The man's lips curved in a small, knowing smile. "Sounds like a good place to work." "It is. I just hope they don't fire me for being late on my first day." He said softly, "I don't think they will." When they arrived, Emily hurried out of the car, thanking him again. "You're a lifesaver," she said with genuine gratitude. "If I could rate you 10 stars, I would." He chuckled quietly. "Take care, Emily." She rushed inside, never noticing the car. Pull into the private parking lot moments. Later, under the space labeled, "Reserved for CEO Daniel Hartley," Emily stood nervously in the lobby, dripping wet and clutching her folder. She was late, 20 minutes late. The receptionist, a well-dressed woman named Grace, gave her a sympathetic look. "Mr. Hartley hasn't arrived yet." "You're lucky," she whispered. Emily exhaled in relief. "Thank God." A few minutes later, the elevator doors opened. The same man from the Mercedes stepped out, wearing a tailored suit, calm, confident, every eye in the room turning toward him. Emily froze, disbelief flooding her face. "It's him!" Grace straightened instantly. "Good morning, Mr. Hartley." "Morning," he said with a polite nod, his gaze briefly meeting Emily's. He gave the faintest smile, warm, teasing, but professional. Emily's stomach dropped. Her Uber driver was her boss. After the shock wore off, humiliation took over. During her first meeting, she could barely focus. Every time Daniel spoke, her mind replayed that awkward car ride. The fact that she'd rambled about her life, her struggles, and even joked about the amazing CEO without realizing she was talking to him. After the meeting ended, Daniel asked softly, "Ms. Hayes, could you stay a moment?" Her throat went dry. "Yes, sir." He waited until the others left before speaking. "Rough morning?" he asked again with that same gentle tone. Her cheeks turned pink. I'm so sorry, Mr. Hartley. I thought you were my Uber driver. I would never have—" "Relax, Emily," he interrupted with a kind smile. "No harm done." She blinked. "You're not upset?" "Not at all. In fact," he leaned slightly on the desk, "I learned more about one of my employees in that short drive than I could from 100 interviews. You're strong and you care about your son. That matters here." Tears pricked at her eyes. "Thank you, sir. I really needed this job." "I know," he said simply. "Now go take care of yourself. And Noah, right?" She froze. "You remembered his name?" "I remember things that matter," he said, his voice low but sincere. That evening, when Emily picked up Noah from daycare, She smiled in a way she hadn't in a long time. She told him about the nice man from the car who turned out to be her boss. Noah giggled. So Mommy's boss saved the day? Yeah, she whispered. He really did. Weeks passed. Emily quickly became one of the most reliable employees at Hartley Enterprises. Daniel often watched quietly, from his glass office as she greeted clients with warmth, always wearing that same tired but genuine smile. One evening, as the staff left for the day, Daniel noticed Emily still working. He walked over and said, "You know it's past 7, right?" She jumped. "Oh, Mr. Hartley, I was just finishing these reports." "I'll be out soon," he smiled. "Come on. I'll drive you home." Her instinct said to refuse. She didn't want to look unprofessional. But his tone left no room for argument. They drove through the quiet streets, the city lights reflecting off the rain-soaked glass. Noah was waiting at the apartment door when they arrived, his face lighting up. "Mommy, you're home!" Daniel smiled at the boy. "Hey, buddy, are you Mommy's boss?" Noah asked bluntly, eyes wide. Daniel laughed softly. "Something like that." Emily blushed, motioning for Noah to go inside. "I'm sorry, It's fine," Daniel said. His voice softened. "You're doing an amazing job, Emily. You should know that." Her eyes shimmered. "I don't hear that often." "Then I'll say it again," he replied gently. "You're doing great." That small kindness broke. Something inside her, a wall she'd built after years of struggle. Tears slipped down her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know how much that means." Daniel hesitated, then said quietly, "You remind me of my mom. She raised me alone, too. She worked 3 jobs, always tired, but she never gave up. When I built this company, I promised myself I'd give women like her and like you a chance." Emily wiped her tears, speechless. As he turned to leave, Noah ran out with a small drawing. "Mr. Boss, I made this for you!" Daniel knelt down and took the paper. It showed 3 stick figures, Emily, Noah, and Daniel, all holding hands under a bright yellow sun. Daniel's heart softened completely. "Thank you, Noah. I'll keep it in my office." When he got back to his car, he looked at the drawing again and smiled, a rare, unguarded smile. For the first time in years, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long while. Home. And for Emily, life began to change. Not because a millionaire CEO had shown her kindness, but because, for the first time, someone saw her not as a struggling single mom, but as someone worthy of being seen, respected, and believed in. Sometimes fate doesn't send miracles with bright lights or angels. Sometimes it sends a man in a black Mercedes pretending to be an Uber driver on a rainy morning.